Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Corner, and welcome to day 4 of my 31 Days of Halloween Horror series. So, today we're going to review a more recent horror movie, a recent slasher, actually, that I'd seen once before about a year ago. And that is the 2019 slasher movie Trick that I have here on DVD. So, yeah, I think I watched this movie a year ago. I want to say it might have been on Amazon Prime. It was a streaming service. It might have been Shudder or Netflix, but I'm pretty sure it was Amazon Prime actually. Um, and I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it to the point where I got it on DVD. I don't think I paid a whole lot for this, $7 or $8 or something. But when I when I look at the reviews for this movie, I guess I'm one of the few that enjoyed it because most people rip it a new one pretty good. But let's just go ahead and get into it. Trick from 2019. Um, yeah, Trick is a 2019 American slasher film directed by Patrick Lucier, Lucier, and so basically the movie opens in 2015 in Benton, New York. A high school senior Patrick Trick Weaver is playing spin the bottle at a Halloween party using a knife with trick and treat carved into opposite sides of the handle. When it lands on another boy, the other players tease Trick, telling him to kiss the other boy. Trick grabs a knife and stabs 5 teens to death before being stabbed with a fire poker. At the hospital, Detective Mike Denver wishes to remove the Halloween face paint, hiding Trick's face, but Trick flips the hospital bed and escapes, slaughtering people throughout the hospital along the way using surgical equipment. Detective Mike Denver and Sheriff Lisa Jane shoot Trick several times and he falls out of a window onto the road below, but then disappears into the river. During police interviews, Troy states that he stabbed Trick with a poker, but the students provide contradictory descriptions of Trick's appearance. No one has ever met Trick's parents. Trick's registered address turns out to be a dockyard, and the two-faced pumpkin mask that Trick was wearing at a party disappears from evidence. So that's sort of the beginning of the movie, kind of how we're introduced to our characters and how we sort of get into the movie. As far as the cast goes, we have Jamie Kennedy as Dr. Steven, Omar Epps as Detective Mike Denver, Tom Atkins as Talbot, Alex Bro as Len or Brio, um, Ellen Ellen Adair as Lisa Jane, Sheriff of Benton County, Vanessa Espilaga as Agent Tina Mendez, Christina Reyes is Cheryl Winston, and Tom Neiman is Patrick Weaver. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 2019 slasher Trick. So yeah, as I said, the first time I watched this movie, I guess I was kind of blown away from it. I wasn't really expecting much from it. I just saw that it was a Halloween type movie, and I put it on and kind of enjoyed myself. Thought it was an entertaining romp. Watching it again for this review on DVD that I got probably about 6 or 8 months ago, I still enjoy it, but I can see that there's many flaws with this movie. It's definitely not a perfect or a great slasher movie, but still an entertaining one in my opinion. So let's just go ahead and get into my thoughts, starting with the things I like about the movie or the pros. And the first thing you have to start with this movie Trick is it has a lot of Halloween atmosphere. If you're looking for a horror movie, a Halloween themed kind of movie to watch this time of the year, this is a really good one. A lot of Halloween atmosphere to put you in the spirit of the season. You got people dressed up in costumes. You have lots of decorations, trick or treating. You have an outdoor haunted maze midway through the movie. Overall, it's just a really good Halloween slasher kind of movie to watch this time of the year, and it definitely plays to the atmosphere of the season. It does have a lot of on-screen kills as well, with some pretty violent stabbings and one beheading even. There's a fair amount of gore in the movie and lots of blood. So for all you blood and gore hounds out there, this movie should satisfy the niche that you're looking for there. Um, and it's very violent, like repeated stabbings, and they don't really hold anything back in that regard. One of the biggest things. It has a very unique and interesting idea or premise that's pretty engaging, in my opinion, as it unfolds to be as much of a mystery as it is a slasher movie with lots of twists and turns throughout the second half of the movie in particular. It really makes for a fun and somewhat underlying creepy sort of movie. When you kind of go through all the twists by the end of the movie, the idea of it's pretty creepy, but it's more fun than anything. It's great seeing Tom Atkins and Jamie Kennedy in this movie. Tom Atkins especially is a horror legend. Um, they're not really given enough to do. Their characters aren't really given enough to do. They're more on the sidelines in this movie, but still it's good to see them in the movie. It definitely brings some gravitas to the movie overall, in my opinion. Um, I enjoyed their on-screen presence. This movie has great cinematography throughout the movie, which really adds to the appeal of the movie, the Halloween atmosphere, and it's really engaging as a result of that cinematography. I really enjoyed the opening scene at the Halloween party that I was describing earlier, where things go awry quickly. It caught my attention right away. It definitely has a very good attention grabbing opening to the movie. That's going to take anybody and get anybody engaged into this movie, and kind of like, even if you didn't like how it turned out after that, it definitely catches your attention. I really enjoyed our main character, Detective Mike Denver, played by Omar Epps, who I enjoy as an actor. Um, I thought his performance was good in this movie. I thought his character was interesting, becoming very obsessive and even loses his job as a result of what's going on here throughout the beginning of the movie. He's definitely the best character in the movie, and he does, like I said, a good job of acting in this movie. So yeah, those are my pros. And then overall, I just keep coming back to it. I just think it's an overall just a fun watch for a Halloween slasher movie, a Halloween horror movie, just a Halloween movie in general. It's definitely a good one to put on in November. Not that you can't watch it any of the rest of the time of the year, but it's definitely made for this time of the year that we're in right now in October. So yeah, those are my pros for Trick. There are cons, as I said. This is not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination. There's some pretty big cons or drawbacks to this movie. The first one being that there's really nothing scary about this movie, at least from an on-screen perspective. Like I said, the underlying idea, what you get at the end, through all the twists and turns, is creepy. I guess you could say scary to a certain extent if you really think about it, but there's no real on-screen horror or jump scares. It's just there is violence and blood, as I said, but if you're looking to be scared, there's not a lot of buildup of tension. Um, at one point in the movie, they try to have a little bit of I don't know if scares is the right word, but like buildup of suspense when they're going through certain characters are going through this haunted maze. But it really just doesn't work because they're just cutting back and forth too much, and it's for some other reasons I'll get into here shortly. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's just going to flat out scare you and make you look over your shoulder, this movie's probably not going to be it. There are some really ridiculous plot contrivances throughout this movie. The biggest one being there's so many characters in this movie that manage to live despite being stabbed multiple times, shot multiple times, dropped out of a window, etc. multiple times. It's really pretty hard to swallow how many of the characters in this movie end up making it as far as they do throughout this movie. Not to say that there aren't deaths in this movie. There are, but there's certain characters that just they seem to be able to survive anything. I have a feeling you could chop them in half and they'd probably somehow still come back at the end of this movie. So that's definitely a big flaw in this movie. You're just expected to kind of go with it. All the characters, other than Detective Mike Denver, which I mentioned earlier, are pretty forgettable and cliche. None of the other characters really do anything for me. Um, it's not really that well acted either by most of the other actors or actresses in the movie. They're just kind of there, you know. They range everywhere from passable to not very good to flat out awful, in my opinion, in terms of the performances. Other than Omar Epps, of course, that I mentioned earlier in my pros. Um, but yeah, we just and of course, we get a lot of bad character decisions, as you often do in slasher movies, whether they're slasher movies from the 80s, the 90s. the 2000s or even the 2020s, 2010s in this case. Just a lot of bad decisions that we're just expected to go with as audience member and not ask any questions. You get a lot of that here. Also, there's really nothing or unique that makes there's really nothing unique or scary in regards to the look of Trick. This cover does a lot more justice than what we actually get in the movie, frankly. Um, yeah, it's just pretty standard Halloween makeup and masks, and I felt like there was a pretty significant missed opportunity there in this movie. Um, and then also, as I was not really, it's not really a great paced movie. The pacing's not really good in this movie overall. I mean, they kind of jump between 4 years, 2015 to 2018 and to 2019, the first 20, 25 minutes of the movie. And it really just doesn't flow that well. And kind of getting back to the whole haunted maze I was talking about with why the buildup of suspense and tension doesn't work. It's because of those pacing issues that this movie has. Plus, they just don't do that good of a job. You're not bought into the characters. The acting's not that good, and but yeah, the pacing's really not good, and thus the reason why it doesn't flow very well, and why there's not a lot of suspense or scares here. And then my final con is one involves the fire poker that I mentioned at the beginning of the film. This was the one. There's a lot of people that have a problem with the twists that happen at the end of the movie. I actually was okay with the big twist, which is the fact that Trick isn't quite what you think he's going to be at the beginning of the movie. But as it relates to the fire poker stab, you find out that it was one character that did the stabbing and not another, which was completely lame and this there for plot contrivances to try to get one of our main characters to be in the spotlight. That really bothered me. That didn't work for me at all. That was the one twist that they really shit the bed on, in my opinion. But as far as the overall twist of the premise and the movie, the big twist, if you will, a lot of people didn't like it because they thought it came out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't mind a twist like that. I don't need to have a twist that gives me breadcrumbs all the way along the way. And even though I didn't, the first time I watched it, I didn't see it coming. It wasn't like I didn't feel like it was completely tacked on or out of nowhere. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but yeah, those are my cons anyway, my pros and cons. This is a movie I would definitely recommend checking out, more from a Halloween seasonal perspective than a really good solid slasher horror movie perspective, if that makes sense. A lot of great Halloween atmosphere. Good performance by Omar Epps and a really good twist and premise that I enjoyed in the movie, more so than other people did that I've seen reviews for. But yeah, overall, it is what it is. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. I enjoy Trick, especially. I could see it being an every October watch for me. I mean, I would go out of my way to upgrade this to a a better to a better like a Blu-ray version or a better cut of the movie. It's not. It doesn't rise to that level, but it is an October watch for me, and I would definitely recommend checking that out for at least a one-time watch, and then kind of deciding on your own, as I did, if it's something that you want to watch on a regular basis. So 7 out of 10 for Trick for my day 4, 31 days of Halloween horror series. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen Trick, what you think of it. If I'm wrong and this is a dog shit movie like a lot of people I've seen say, or if you like it okay like I do, please like this video and hit the little notification bell down below so you don't miss any of my upcoming reviews for this series. And be sure to subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss any of my great horror content, this series and beyond. But I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you're doing well. Happy October. Stay scared. Bye.